Hi there. At the Royal Armouries in Leeds, apart from the fantastic collection of weapons, they do various demonstrations and presentations and lectures. And one of them that I enjoyed a lot was a rifleman in the Peninsular War, which was based on diaries and letters that were written by a soldier. And the staff member who presented this was dressed in the authentic uniform, and he carried authentic weapons. And it was really interesting. And mainly because I had already read the books in the Sharpe series, which this review is about. And I read them many years ago as they were published, and really enjoyed them, written by Bernard Cornwall. And they follow the career of Richard Sharpe, who was the son of a prostitute in London, and he was brought up on the streets, very streetwise, thieving, etc. But then he joins the army and goes out to India and has a successful career, firstly as a private, and then starts getting promoted. And then by saving the life of the future Duke of Wellington, Arthur Wellesley, he wins a commission. And from then on, the story becomes even more interesting, because you've got this guy who has come from the ranks, from a background of being an illegitimate son of a prostitute, living in the stews of London, to being in the officers' mess. And the author really brings out the class system in the army at the time. You know, and officers, they're bad enough now, but back then they could have you flogged, have you executed, they could purchase a commission, so you could have the kind of wastrel son of a family who ends up in the army. And all this is shown in the books. But it's not all one-sided. There are baddies within the ranks and within the NCOs, particularly one that I'll talk about, and also some very brilliant officers, some of whom become mentors to Sharpe. But Sharpe, he brings his streetwise cunning to the job. He's a born fighter, a good shot. He can use the sword. He's very aggressive, and he's something of a natural leader, and a bit of a lateral thinker. He solves problems as he goes up through the ranks, ending up as a lieutenant colonel, I believe, and he gets more and more authority and gets involved in bigger campaigns. He has to show this side a lot, and the books put him in all the major campaigns: Talavera, Waterloo, Trafalgar. I fully expected it to end up with Sharpe's D-Day as one of the books, but okay, it's a literary conceit to do that, to cover all the different battles, but it also makes it very interesting. Anyway, the books have an appendix which explain the real history, the real military history behind the events in the book. So you get a bonus from that. I would say that his research on to military history, equipment, weapons, that kind of thing, seems very, very well done, and there's a degree of authenticity in the books. I enjoyed them, and I actually plan on rereading them. For preparing for this review, I decided that even though I'd refreshed other things, I haven't actually read the books for a long time, and I did enjoy them as I was reading them. They're very, very well written. Bernard Cornwall's written many, many other books, and one in particular, which covers the Battle of Agincourt, which he calls Agincourt, I particularly recommend. But he's a very prolific writer, and particularly in the field of military history. All in all, the books do show the realities of life in the British Army during the period of the Napoleonic Wars, and the gulf between being a private soldier and being an officer, which was very, very wide, and also the raw realities of battle. So the books were filmed for TV, mainly filmed in the Crimea, with lots of assistance from the army there for providing extras for battle scenes and so on. And they starred Sean Bean in probably what was his first major starring role. Of course, he's gone on to great things, Game of Thrones, etc. It's a part very, very well suited to him, portraying a working class officer with rough edges, with natural aggression, and he does it very, very well. And I'm glad to see that his career really did take off, and he's made some really, really good movies. There's a lot of guest stars in the series, including Bernard Cox, Mark Strong, Michael Byrne, Daniel Craig, Liz Hurley, Philip Whitchurch, Tom Wilkinson. But the one who stands out for me was Pete Postlethwaite, who's unfortunately no longer with us, who plays Sharpe's old nemesis, Sergeant Hakeswell, who had him flogged when he was a private. And in the series, he's written in the books as a very nasty character, and he comes across in the TV series like that. And he gives a very idiosyncratic performance of a guy who has mastered the rule book. He knows the King's regulations backwards, but his eyes on the main chance always, and he's a thief and a rapist when he can get away with it. Terry O'Neill worked with Pete Postlethwaite on Dragonheart, and told him how much he enjoyed him in a couple of the things. One of his early ones was called The Muscle Market, filmed in Liverpool, and also in Sharpe. And in between scenes, Pete would do his Hakeswell character for Terry. So I thought that was really, really good. The battles are very well filmed, quite a large cast. The kit seems authentic. I'm not an expert by any means, but to my eye, it seemed very, very good, very authentic. And a lot of it is taken verbatim from the books, because Bernard Cornwall wrote some really gripping scenes, and I'm including a clip of a speech or a talk that Sharpe gives to his new group of soldiers, newly arrived, in the area that he has to whip into shape prior to a battle. So I recommend the books. I recommend the TV series. A lot of them are available on YouTube. I'll put links to them, and enjoy this video clip.
Those men have fought in a big battle before. One pace forward. This place is called Talavera. There's going to be a battle here tomorrow. You'll fight in it, maybe even die in it. But you won't see it. There's a lot of smoke in a battle. Our cannon, their cannon. Our shot, their shell. Our volleys, their volleys. You don't see a battle. You hear it. Black powder blasting by the ton on all sides. Black smoke blinding you, and choking you, and making you vomit. And the French come out of the smoke. Not in a line, but in a column. And they march towards our thin line. Kettle drums hammering like hell, and a golden eagle blazing overhead. They march slowly, and it takes them a long time to reach you. And you can't see them in smoke, but you can hear the drums. And they march out of the smoke, and you fire a volley. And the front rank of the column falls, and the next rank steps over them with drums hammering. And the column smashes your line like a hammer breaking glass. And Napoleon has won another battle. But if you don't run, if you stand until you can smell the garlic, and fire volley after volley, 3 rounds a minute, then they slow down. They stop. And then they run away. All you've got to do is stand and fire 3 rounds a minute. Now, you and I know you can fire 3 rounds a minute. But can you stand?
Go.